Reviewing is an interesting profession. If we use the example of reviewing games, we play the game, we criticise, we praise, and we get away with most things. The developers and the company, however, can be ruined. Whether it harms sales or hurts pride or confidence, a negative review will damage something. Even the worst games in history had developers who genuinely wanted to have a good game at the end of it, but something goes wrong, whether it's rushed by the higher-ups for the Christmas launch or otherwise. Recently, a gaming journalist by the name of Dean Takahashi released a 26-minute video on Cuphead where he struggled to get over a simple jump in the tutorial for over a minute and couldn't even get through the first half of the first stage for around 22 minutes. He made excuses for it all, but at the end of the day, he was simply just bad at the game, and unfortunately, by him putting that video out there, it will harm sales. People will think he's good at his job and take his word and gameplay on things, and as a result, as I said, people won't buy it because it's too hard for them, and they don't want to spend money on a game that's not worth their time, even if it actually is. Why have I brought up any of this in a review about Metroid? Well, to a degree, I'm put in his position, but I'm going to learn from what I've seen and actually do the honourable thing. Samus is back! For the first time in 13 years, we have a new 2D Metroid game, and it's so much fun. I love it. But it also infuriated me. The thing is, as much as I like them, I've never been good at Metroid games, and unfortunately, this game is no different. Apart from the slight difference in this experience is I can't find the line between me being bad and if the game is actually a little too unforgiving. Before listing all the positives, because there are definitely a lot of them, I want to quickly go over why I think that maybe this game is a little too unforgiving. The damage you take from enemies is a little extreme. The standard enemy will take 20 or so damage from you at the beginning, and with 99 to 199 health, with potentially more if you find some energy tanks, that's not too bad. But the Metroids that you have to face throughout the game are brutal. They're only weak to a couple of things, the Ice Beam, which you actually get very early on, and missiles, but we're talking 15 plus missiles at a minimum, so it's not a quick fight. You'll probably miss a bit as well, so you'll use a lot more than what's actually needed to kill them. They'll also do about 40 to 50 plus damage at the beginning to you, and the Ice Beam is so weak against them. It's really only a last ditch effort kind of thing. By the second area, you've got 299 health, and the Metroids are doing 70 plus damage per hit, and it's just a little overwhelming. On top of that, I found that you can sort of get stuck between a rock and a hard place. If we're talking about early game, I reached a new area and saved, but I only had 22 out of 299 health. Besides killing enemies, where some are doing 50 plus damage, there's not really anything nearby where I can get health, so it's just a race to kill to survive, and I suck. And that's the thing. I recognise that I suck, but I can't tell if the damage being dealt to me is completely justified. So to that end, I have decided that it's mostly me. It's not a perfect game, it does have issues, but I'm telling you this as a cautionary warning of, if you suck like I do, you'll have a good time, definitely, but it'll be a brutally tough time. Okay? Sound fair? I think so. Cool. This game is awesome though. The style, the design, the atmosphere, oh my god, I love it. This is a remake of Metroid 2 from the Game Boy, and it's amazing how they turned this into this. You have complete control of your shot, as you can hold down L to stand stationary and just move the analog to fire wherever you want. You can also just hold down R to switch to missiles. It's so simplistic and works incredibly well. There's a mild element of repetition, as there are 40 Metroids to take down. Or is it more than 40? But they're not the only bosses, there are others, and only a couple of Metroids would be classed as bosses, to be fair. They're more mid-bosses, sort of. It's hard to describe, but each sector requires you to defeat a set of Metroids to unlock the next area. Each area is definitely unique and has its own set of puzzles and paths to explore, all of which are a lot of fun and will definitely contain some head-scratching moments as you try to figure out how to get the newest upgrade. As I was saying though, the element of hunting Metroids remains the same as the original game, and it sort of keeps you grounded and out of the mysterious atmosphere of, where am I going next? Oh, what's gonna take me there? Like, I fully know that I'll defeat them all in the area, and the acid or lava or whatever will drain, and that's my next path. On the subject of bosses, whilst there aren't too many that aren't Metroids, they're all extremely fun. The Metroids are too, but as I said, they are a bit samey, and really missiles is the only thing that's going to do decent damage, and even then it's not a fast fight. It'll use a lot of your missiles unless you successfully melee attack. Oh, and speaking of, to make things easier, the game has a new melee attack. Each enemy will give a tell and then charge towards you, and instead of just jumping out of the way, you can guard against it. It's actually really cool, but it took me a very long time to get used to it because it's quite new and quite hard to time. Every enemy moves pretty quickly, but at varying speeds, so I didn't successfully use it all that often, but I loved it when I nailed it. The game has added a couple of new treats to make life easier here and there as well, and I love that too. As you progress through the game, you'll find ion upgrades. At least I think that's how it's pronounced. You have a new ion bar, and as you use the new abilities, the bar will deplete. But enemies will be dropping a fair share of what you need to refill it, so it's not so bad. The first is a scanner that reveals a large square of the map around you, and it's incredibly helpful. It can reveal a couple of things if you're stuck, including walls that can break around you, including where the hidden items are. The second is a shield, and it only depletes from the bar if you get hit, but it'll deplete fast. The next is my favourite, which increases the amount of shots you do at a time to an extraordinary rate, and even damages the Metroids. It's not that powerful against them, and it depletes the bar ridiculously fast. It's really much like the Ice Beam, a last-ditch effort if you're out of missiles. Finally is the ability to slow down time. Yes, you heard me correctly, and yes, it's as cool as it looks. On top of that, to make the gameplay more varied, they've included new items changing things up from the original, including the grapple beam, which I thought was pretty cool. Being a Metroid game, you'd expect that it's a typical Metroidvania game, you know, given that Metroid started the genre, and you'd be right. You'll explore, get lost, and discover lots of new abilities, energy tanks, missile upgrades, bomb upgrades, and ion upgrades around planet Zebes. Zebes? I've never known how to pronounce that. Overall, whilst I found this to be way harder than it probably is, it's still a tough game that I thoroughly enjoyed. It has issues, sure, which I've mentioned, but it's a fun time, and if you're a fan of Metroid titles, you've got nothing to worry about. The series is back, and hopefully it's here to stay. I'm giving Metroid Samus Returns an 8 out of 10. Thank you very much for watching, I hope you enjoyed the review. If you did, leave a like, maybe subscribe, share the video around. Not gonna lie, as of recording this right now, I mean, it's not up yet, obviously, but I've got the pre-upload jitters. It's one of those reviews that I'm really worried about. I feel like I've been very fair. As a professional, I like to think. Professionally, I think is the word I'm going for. But at the same time, I'm saying bad things about a Metroid game which has got so much love put into it from developers and fans alike, and it's just, oh, people might hate this, so, please alleviate that fear, please don't hate me. I mean, at the end of the day, it's just my opinion, and I could have just been, this is awful, it's the worst game I've ever played, it's so difficult, but I didn't, because it's not fair, and that's not the game's fault. So, yeah, I like to think that sets me apart from other reviewers. Probably doesn't, but hey, that's, you can decide and talk amongst that in the comments. But thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.